All right, everyone, welcome back to the Dream Big Masterclass Encore event. This was something that Kayla had kindly announced last week at the end of our other event. And what Phil and I decided to do was give you some more time to address any of your questions. And we are here as a team. There's myself and Phil Goldfine, as you can see. And we also have Roddy, Kayla, Vladdy, all part of our Dynamic Destinies team here to serve you and to help you manifest your big dreams, whether it's Hollywood or any other dream that you have. Both Phil and I have been very serious students for a long, long time, and also very serious manifestors and doing it in a relaxed way, of course. And we love helping other people manifest their dreams. And so what we asked of you for today is that submit a question and be on the call live. And when you're on the call live, then we would address the question. If you're not on the call live, we're not going to address the question. So I've noticed a few people that are here that did submit questions in advance, and we're going to definitely get to those first. Tammy, as an example, is here. And Tammy, we're going to start with yours. Thank you for joining us nice and early as well. She was here ready to kick things off well in advance at the top of the hour. So Phil, Roddy has sent us a link with all the questions on there. You'll be able to see them, and he's refreshed the page with a couple new questions that had come in just before the top of the hour. So what I'll do is I'll read the questions, and then we can both address them as we desire. Okay, so the first one is from Tammy. Tammy Smith says, what is your number one paradigm buster when you don't know what your paradigm is? Let me explain. I thought I had worked through all of my paradigms on money, but up until now, I haven't been able to raise the money needed to invest in myself. So I'm wondering, is there an underlying paradigm that I'm aware of? All right, this is a great question. I would say you don't have to even know what the paradigm is. It's not something that it's valuable to invest the time to try and figure out what's wrong. Right. And although you didn't say what's wrong with me, what you're saying is you feel that there's something there that is crimping the hose and blocking the flow of abundance into your life the way you would love to be experiencing it in your life. And therefore, in order to have the free flow of abundance in your life, here's what you do. You decide what you would love. And this is where you can get specific. What would you love? How much would you love? And you can come up with a number. Maybe it's $100 million. And having that $100 million would give you the freedom to do what you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, whenever you wanted to. And so you start with deciding, how much abundance would you love? And the universe loves it when you're specific. So pick a number that feels good to you. And frankly, it doesn't matter what the number is, because it's going to be the same effort to manifest it. The second one is that you have to understand, what do I need to believe in order to have that kind of abundance in my life, to feel that freedom in my life? What do I need to believe? And this is where we get clarity around our own understandings of what we feel we need to believe. And so if the belief is I'm worthy of it, if the belief is that there's an abundance in the universe, if the belief is that it's already mine, if those are beliefs that would help you or support you, then you need to build those beliefs. They are the emotional muscle that need to be built. So regardless of what paradigms are there that are crimping the hose and blocking the flow, you're ultimately going to be creating this new belief, which will become your dominant way of being. And this is what you want to be giving all your energy to. You want to be giving all your energy to, and only to, the things that you wish to manifest in your life, as if they've already manifested in your life. So, Phil, did you want to add to that?
Exactly. Yeah. So, Tammy, I have good news and I have bad news. So,
Good
you and
news
I
and bad news?
yes, good news and bad news. You and I are very much alike. So, your paradigms are going to be with you for the rest of your life. But here's the great news, is that they don't have to control your life, but you do have to work on them. So I have the same thing that you have in terms of money paradigms, because I grew up probably in a similar situation, and the money paradigms will come in. Now, here's the difference. Just like Peggy said, you need to find those thoughts and beliefs that are going to help you where you can achieve what you want to achieve. So I would add one last thing, which is that how you feel. So believe it, believe that you can achieve and do what you love. know that and feel that and figure out how it makes you feel. It's going to make you feel fantastic, because believe me, I do this every morning as well. So it makes you feel fantastic. Now, the trick is that you want to stay in that vibration all the time. So can anybody stay in their vibration 24/7? Of course not. Things are going to happen. An obstacle is going to come up. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to call you and say, hey, you know, your car broke down and you need like $4,000 to fix it. But these are just a nuisance that does not control your life. It does not speak who Tammy is. Tammy is somebody who is constantly getting everything that she loves, and she's feeling so great. You know what you're going to find is that fewer and fewer of those annoyances happen. And it's probably because, and I totally believe this, and I know Peggy believes this, because that's what we focus on. I mean, I would say, and Peggy, you're probably the same way. You probably focus at least 90% of your time, if not more than that, maybe 98% of your time, only focus on what you love and how it makes you feeling so great. I mean, I've seen you, and I've seen how you manifest really quickly. And so you are the exact, I mean, if we can do it, you can do it. If, you know, what Bob used to say is that if I can do it, you can do it. And I never believed him for like probably the first 20 years, but he was right. If he can do it, we can do it. But our paradigms are strong. So we really have to be working on those. I mean, all the time we have to be working on that. It's not going to go away. I mean, but it's going to get less and less and less. You know, it's funny. I was talking to Sandy the other day, Peggy, and we were talking about this. We were talking about Bob, and one of the things is that Bob, he's had his paradigms too, of course, right? And so, but the difference is that he could literally switch it in a second. I mean, I saw him do this multiple times. She saw him do it, but he was just the master. I mean, he controlled his mind and his thoughts, and certainly his emotions better than anybody I've ever met. I don't think there's anybody who was on the planet that was as good at him as manifesting whatever he wanted. But again, our paradigms, and you're the same way as me. You got to be like, use whatever it takes to just make those paradigms less and less and less, and replace them with great paradigms. Like Peggy was talking about last week, you can replace those. And so why not replace it with what you want and what you love? Peggy always used that thing. When I first met Peggy, this is what I really resonated with me, and why I love working with her, is that, what would you love? Because when you think of that word love, it's like every time I get like all choked up. Love. I mean, doesn't that make you just feel so great? Look at Peggy's like face is bright, you know, getting up right there. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. It's all we have.
So good. I love it. And, you know, Tammy, it really does come down to like building that belief is a muscle, right? The belief of abundance.
Exactly.
Like it's a muscle. And so like Phil is totally into, you know, taking care of his physical body. He trains for swimming, etc. And there's many times we're on the phone, you know, at 5 a.m. for him, and he's on his way to swim. I know I talked about it last week as well. And he may not feel like doing it, but he does it anyways. Why? Because he's preparing himself, he's conditioning himself, he's conditioning his physical body for a particular event. And this is what we do with our mind, is we condition our mind for a particular outcome. And we're doing the work. You know, Tammy, we had the mind conditioning accelerator program. Were you a part of that?
No, I didn't get to be a part of that one.
Okay, the 30th day was today. We did it live. We did it over 30 days. Anyways, it was like, I think, one of the best programs I've ever created, and it's at mindconditioningaccelerator.com. You could still register for it. They're not live classes, but they're all recorded and it's all there. I think, Roddy, can she still register for Mind Conditioning Accelerator? He'll let me know, or let us know. But I created this program because I know that a lot of people really struggle with they struggle with the building of the paradigms. That's the challenge right there.
Yeah.
And what happens is we even think about this simple analogy of the crimping of the hose. And by the way, when we answer questions, we're thinking of all of the questions that have been submitted as well. So we may be answering Tammy's question here, but it's also going to be relevant for somebody else's question. Okay, I just want to mention that. But when we're talking about crimping of the hose, right, blocking the flow, that's a great analogy that we can all envision in our mind. We all know what a hose looks like, and we know what a hose looks like when it has the water, you know, turned up, you know, fast. And we also know what happens when you crimp the hose, right? And so what does that really mean as it relates to us and as it relates to our paradigms and how we get in our way? It's resistance. That's what it is. We're resisting the things that we really want because the ability is there. We all have the ability. Every single person that's on this call has the ability to have anything and everything that their heart desires. There isn't anybody who's excluded from that on this call or even outside of this call, outside of this Zoom room. There are many, many people that are very capable, but they're not doing it. Why not? Well, because they haven't conditioned themselves to think that way. We must condition ourselves. And what I love about the teachings in these materials is it's so incredibly simple, and yet it can be a challenge. And that's why when Phil answered the question for Tammy, he started with I have good news and bad news. And the bad news is the paradigms are always going to be there. And that's true. They're always going to be there, and they're always going to put up a battle, and they're going to continue to fight you. And I've asked Bob the question, when did they stop fighting you? And he said, paradigms are a bitch. And he said,
it's part of your DNA, like he would say. Remember that? I mean, it's part of your DNA. That really resonated with me. By the way, hey, you guys, I'm actually trying to sign up for Mind Conditioner Accelerator right now, and I can't get on it. Just so you know. No, I'm serious. That's awesome. I'm signing
that's
up for
hilarious. And that's
really, it's a great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was such a, like, I love, it's like that expression. I love it. I love it when an idea uses me. It's like this morning when we were studying, I mean, I'm reading and I'm getting ideas like boom, boom, they're coming into me. And as soon as I was done, I started writing them down. You also have to act on your ideas. And this isn't only for Tammy and like everybody, you need to act.
Inspired action.
Right? Inspired action. Exactly. Phil, talks about that all the time. Vladdy talks about that. Like, you got to take action from the person that you've chosen to be. In fact, we've got a couple people that are on this call right now, Norman and Candace, who have both signed up to join us, and 80 are all joining us at our next Hollywood Manifest event. We have 3 people that are on this call at 81 that are on live right now that have already made the decision. They've acted in inspired action. They've said yes, yes to their dreams, yes to their dreams. Now, 80's been there already once, but she's coming back. Right? She's coming back. Why would she come back? Because 80 understands that in order for her to take her life to the next level, you have to continue to invest in yourself. You just keep investing. Like Phil's just talking about what he's doing, what I'm doing. In fact, and even earlier, before we got on this call, I was getting an email from Lisa from the Proctor Gallagher Institute saying, here are the links for the, Science of Getting Rich event that both Phil and I were invited to be a part of, but we'll study it. I mean, when we're not teaching or doing the work that we're doing, or Phil's not producing a movie or whatever, or doing something on Broadway, he's in the study, he's investing himself. It's so important that you do that because the rewards are there, right? It's like, what is it worth to you to have the abundance in your life that you would love to have? Is there a price that you can put on that? No, there's no price that you can put on that. So Tammy, does that address your question for you?
Yes, and I knew this stuff. I think I needed that reminder.
Exactly.
See, that's the thing, right?
I do believe I'm getting better and better every day. And I mean, they're getting closer. I'm just being a little impatient, I guess.
Oh, that's okay. You know what? That's what we call, it's called dissatisfaction, which can stimulate growth. So we can look at the experience of being dissatisfied or being impatient, and we can have a new way of approaching that. We could look at it and say, oh, okay, I recognize that there's a part of my life that I'm not satisfied with right now. What will I do about that? Right? What will I do? What will I is a presumptive question, which means you're going to do something about it, right? Tammy showed up. Tammy asked the question. Tammy is receiving the guidance, right? And this is part of it, right? This is all part of it. It's not like, oh, I'm embarrassed because I'm asking a question, which I already know the answer to, which Tammy just said, like, I already knew that. Of course. That's great, Tammy. We really appreciate it.
It's funny. I didn't know that Norman was on the call, but you guys should meet this guy because he's really special in that he has a huge goal, and he's experienced some obstacles, but yet he never. God, Norman, I haven't seen you in a long time. Like the glasses, dude. But he experiences obstacles, but he just fights right through them. This guy is probably the most probably the best optimist I've ever heard in my life. I have no doubt, and I know for a fact that he is going to make his movie. It's going to star somebody really big, and he's gonna get an Academy Award. It's like he is light years ahead of me than where I was when I was meeting Bob, and he was light years ahead of me before I met him. But like, look at him. He's there. He did personal mentoring with me and Peggy, and yet he's back here again, and he's doing that. See, Norman, you remind me so much of me. I can't even tell you. I can't wait to see you. I'm really happy about that. That's really great. You're gonna love the studio.
Yes, Norman
Absolutely.
is coming to Hollywood Manifest. It's great. I'm looking forward
Nothing
to
like
seeing you as well,
there's nothing
Norman.
like it in Germany, I'll tell you. I mean, basically the studios here are amazing. So
It's true. It's true. I look very much forward to see you too, and all the other participants. And in regards to what Tammy's issue is, I had a paradigm knocking at my mental door as well before I booked it, because of course you look at the facts. You look at the facts and say, where's the money? It's a little bit more than I invested so far, and what do I do? And it brought me back to Peggy's lovely sign that says, "What would you love?"
there you go.
And
Exactly.
I love to be there. And I said, hell yes. So I went for it. And I know, as Peggy always said, the money will come from wherever the money is right now. I don't need to care where it is. It will come when it's needed. And therefore, I'm in.
That's so
And you just stay in that vibration all the time, right? You just stay in that vibration, knowing that this is the biggest, probably the most important lesson I learned from Bob is that he said, once you make that decision and you're in that vibration and you're feeling it, it has to happen. It can't not happen. The only way that it wouldn't happen is that if you let your paradigm stop you. And so if you're gonna do that, then well, you know, I mean, that's not so good. We did have some questions, but as Peggy said, she only wants to answer the questions that are on there. I agree with her, but paradigms stop people. Like, I mean, they really do. They stop me. I mean, they stop Peggy, but we have the tools that we know. Switch it right now, because well, I mean, I say this too, Peggy. I'm sure you do too. What would Bob do?
yeah.
I mean, he didn't even let it become a thought, which is why he does anything he wants to, or he did anything he wants to do. I'm sure he still is, but he's
Exactly.
he wanted to get on a plane, on a private jet, and come to LA. He would just do it. Or well, his big thing was Vegas. He loved Vegas, and so he would just book a private jet and off he goes to Vegas. He never let anything stop him ever. That was really interesting.
Yeah. Well,
Big
thank you
life,
so much, Norman. We really appreciate you
sorry about
jumping in there and spontaneously like that. I love
I know
that.
you were here.
Incredible.
Hi.
You're more than welcome.
All right, we'll see you in LA. This is so exciting. Okay, Phil, we are going to get to our next question, and Rita is here from Australia, and it is 2:17 in the morning for Rita. So
Jesus.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Talk about commitment, right? It's like our Jackie G, you know, when we have Jackie G get on the call, she's from New Zealand, and she's been in my programs for years. I think I met Jackie G when she came to the Making a Million Look Small event, you know, a number of years ago in LA, which Phil, that's where you and I became even more acquainted. And she's somebody who continually invests in herself and constantly stays in this study and is experiencing more and more growth. Okay, so let me find Rita's question here. And so Rita, understand that what I was saying earlier about addressing Tammy's question and really speaking with Norman as well was very helpful in addressing your question as well. But Phil and I were chatting about your question a little earlier today. And so we're grateful that you're here and grateful that you've asked it. So for the sake of everyone, I'm going to read your question out for everyone to hear. I'm excited about what's on the offer, but I have a habit of not asking enough questions, then paying the price for not doing so. So I would like to ask, what is the process for the event in October? From what I gathered so far, you go through the novel, see if it's got merit for a movie, and then pitch it to other producers or produce it yourself. Is that right? No and no. So both wrong. I just want everyone to know. We're going to expand on that in a minute. And what would be the worst case scenario for me? For example, if you thought the novel I had written was so good for a movie, then I've just lost 75,000 Australian dollars. Is that right? In my cost of my flights? And what is the outcome if you do not like it? And how much can I be involved in the movie process? And what happens from that point? Exactly. And exactly is capitalized. If you give me some live examples of success projects, that would be great. Okay, everyone, this is fun. This is a really good example of paradigms. I mean, a wonderful example of paradigms are in Rita's way. Rita, understand this is not a criticism whatsoever. Not at all. In fact, it's a gift. It's an absolute gift. And I would suggest to look at it that way for the feedback that we're about to offer to you. So I think it's important that we did address this question for clarification, because no, we do not promise to review novels or books or anything. We don't promise to do that at all. We're gonna talk to you about what's required to succeed, in Hollywood or anywhere else. It's about Hollywood manifest. So what's your dream? Like Norman has a specific dream, that he's looking to accomplish, just as Adie does and just as Candace does. And we're there to help you manifest any dream, whether it's Hollywood or not. And what you're dealing with is two people that have accomplished quite a variety of things in their own life, as you know, from our own experience. So the people that are joining us because of what we collectively, me and Phil, it's kind of like a potion, it's like a formula. You put these two together and it's like magic. I really do believe that. I'm not bragging or anything. I just feel that Phil and I each have such the depth of understanding from these materials because we've consistently implemented. We've learned the lessons. We continue to learn the valuable lessons because of what we are doing. So our desire, Phil's desire, Peggy's desire, the entire team's desire is to help you, get you to where you want to go. And so that's how we work. That's how we address questions as well. So, Phil, do you want to, Cinematic Chefs, says Tootie. Phil, do you want to start by addressing Rita's question?
Yeah. So, Rita, I read your question. We've never met. I think Vladdy told me a little bit about you, but you are a producer out of Australia, correct? Yeah. So I'm going to use an example. I use Spielberg, but obviously I told that story last week. So it's like me going in and trying to get a meeting at Lucasfilm and get a hold of George Lucas and say, "Hey, George, I got this project here. Can you do it for me?" But that's not what this is. But you know that because you're in the study. So one of the things that Bob really taught me, because I think I'm just like you when I started. And so we have such strong paradigms that are like there. I mean, your entire question was your paradigm talking. And, I learned this from Peggy as well, is that when you look at somebody's questions, is it them telling you what you love and what you would absolutely love, and you're like holding on to that love so that it's going to happen? Or is it your paradigm talking? And you right now, where is your paradigm talking? Just the fact that you said that, you're telling your subconscious, I'm going to basically fly to LA, pay $75,000 and throw it away. That's what your subconscious is listening to, right? But you know this because you're in the study. But you, especially for that question, do whatever you have to do to fight your paradigms. I'm not saying do whatever you have to do to come here. I'm saying do what you do to change the paradigm. But what is it that you want? What would you love? That's all you have to focus on. Can you tell us what it is that you would love? Just what you would love, not your paradigm.
Okay. I would love for my novel to be a movie, and then also I've created a personal development digital game, which I'd love to also create. Well, it has to be built. It's actually designed and
That's
created.
your paradigm. That's your paradigm. We're just asking for what you would love. So right now, you would love for your novel to be turned into a film, and you would love your digital game to come out.
Yes.
Well, is the novel's about the digital game, is it not?
It's interconnected. Yes, it's interconnected.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
God, I just pulled George Lucas out of my ass, but okay, that's a okay.
So Rita, I love the idea. I think it's a really cool idea from what I understand of what she's looking to do. And so my understanding is that you've written this novel, which is about a game, about a manifestation game, and the movie would be that.
Yeah, it's actually, the movie would be part 1 and part 2. Part 2, you actually get inside the game, just like Jumanji.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so great.
So when you say part 1 and part 2, are you talking about 2 separate films? You're talking about a trilogy, or are you talking about a single film that basically is a movie that's an event film that's 2.5, 3 hours long that you have this, or is it 90 minutes? I don't know. I'm just asking because I don't know.
The part 1 is how the game come about.
So when you say part 1, that's movie number 1, right? So you're doing it
right.
like the last Mission Impossible. Part one came out last summer. This one comes out this summer, or part two comes out this summer.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a
right.
double feature. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that
The
idea.
part-
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I mean that's been like a dream for many, many years, and I've I guess I've taken that many wrong turns that I didn't mean
Paradigm.
that.
There's your
That
paradigm. Keep
sounds so
going with
negative.
you're talking through your paradigm now. Okay. See, I'm trying to show you what Bob would do with me is that you're talking through your paradigm. I'm not interested in your paradigms. I know what your paradigms are because we all have paradigms like this.
Mm.
What is it that you would love? So far, we know that you would love to have your movies made as a double feature that's going to incorporate a lot of things across markets. So you're going to be doing a game. I take it there's
Yes.
going to be some AI involved in this stuff as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
quite a bit. Mm.
Okay. What else? I don't need to know all the reasons why your paradigm is telling me you can't do it. I already know. So I just want to know what you would love. And that's what you would love, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then how does it make you feel when you've got all this now? Now
Oh,
you're fully
gosh.
healing from that. You're talking to me and Peggy right now, and you know exactly what you want to do. This is what you would love, and nothing's going to stop you. It's like the guy who's on before you, Norman. Nothing stops this guy. It's like, it's crazy. He goes up to Brad Pitt and, like, gives his script. So it's like nothing stops this guy. What would you love? Just that.
I would love to ultimately be my higher self and stay there, and achieve, what I mentioned, really, just
Right.
and really to make it turn into one big franchise. And what I love about it is it's got so much personal development in it, but not just entertainment, but personal development, and it's different. And I feel it's being gifted to me. And it'd be crazy not to have it out there.
There you
Right,
go.
like Rita, like you love this stuff, right? You love it.
Mm.
You know the difference it can make in other people's
yeah.
life. Like, have you created in your mind the vision of how this is impacting the world?
Oh, I often think that, and I feel a little bit frustrated that I should be further than what I am, but I try.
Paradigm.
Paradigm.
Your
Paradigm.
Yeah,
paradigm. We're not
paradigm. I
talking
know.
about your frustrations because now
Alarm bells.
right, because now your subconscious is going back into, oh well, Rita's frustrated because of this. That's the predominant
Mm.
thought that the subconscious is thinking. Now again, I'm not a scientist. I don't really know this. I just do what Bob Proctor told me to do.
Yeah, I
And
get it.
not to sound like Whoopi Goldberg, but honey, we gotta talk. Because it's like, I mean, wow. I mean, I got goosebumps when, I want the same thing you do, by the way. I've also been looking for franchise my entire career, and I'm gonna get it. And I
Oh,
know
wow.
it's really close. But I'm not gonna let my paradigm like say, "Oh, you know what?
Mm.
I mean, I would have been working with Spielberg a lot sooner, I think, had I not let my paradigms get to me. So even though
Yes.
I'm a master at this too, and so is Peggy, but we're every single day we have to work on this. I mean, Peggy
Mm.
studies every day. I mean, Peggy is studying all through the day because she's giving these programs that are amazing. By the way, I gotta sign up for this accelerator class, and I'm being serious. But I'm telling you that you have to decide what you want because you're letting your paradigm decide right now. But
I actually did decide, Phil. I am coming.
Oh,
I don't know how, but I'm
okay.
going to be
all
there.
right, Rita.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay,
Be
good
there.
girl.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to help you with that. I mean, that is a very important part of this, as well as
Oh,
the
thank you
mind
so much.
conditioning, part of the program, and how important it is to really get that right. Because we don't only want you to be out of your way now to make the decision to go. We want you to be out of your way to just take it to wherever you want to take it.
Yeah.
Everything in life, yeah.
And the interesting thing about this whole process is, even as Phil was using Norm as an example, because he's a phenomenal example, is, like, he's willing to do the things that, other people aren't willing to do. And that's why, we believe in him so much, and we believe he'll be successful. But at the same time, I think if we asked Norm, if we brought him back into the spotlight and said, hey, Norm, was there any discomfort in any of this? And he's going to tell you, absolutely,
Yeah.
hell yes, as he would say. And of course and the same thing with me and Phil with things that we do. Like, I'm sure, Phil, when you decided to get into Broadway, which was a brand new, well, not completely different industry, but another part of the industry. I mean, that must have felt uncomfortable to you.
Are you kidding? And it still does. It did this morning. So I
Yeah,
had to
right.
work and I had to do my study because I'm not going to let the paradigm stop me because I've always achieved it. Once I've said, okay, I'm going to do this, I've always 100% of the time, I've never not gotten what I really wanted. But you have to stay in the study all the time, every single day. I mean, people think that, yeah, no, I was dealing with somebody, Peggy, I didn't tell you this, but over the weekend, who was having some issues, and she's an educator, and she's a very top educator in Los Angeles. And I was telling her about what you and I do. And she goes, I'm going to read it. I'm going to commit it to memory, and I'm going to remember, and I'm going to be able to recite it. And I said, but that's going to do absolutely nothing for you. So you have to study it. You have to decide what you would love and what you want. And then you have to feeling. It's not a race. It's like, really understand it, really get into the feeling. And because remember, Rita, you're going to have obstacles all the time. I mean, I'll share with you when I see you obstacles that I have on a daily basis. I do. I mean, but you basically make sure that the paradigm doesn't get the best of you. Because guess what? Every single obstacle, easy to get over. Every one of them so far.
And
Thank
money
you
is energy, right? Money is just energy
Absolutely.
that you attract, you repel. Some people do really good job at attracting it. Some people are really good at repelling it, etc. You attract it into your life. How you use it is how you use it. If you look at it as being a waste, then that is not a good energy to be in. I remember one time, I'll give you an example of this. I had rented this waterfront place for a month for my husband and I to go to, and something happened where we weren't able to go. And I mentioned the gentleman that we're not able to go. And he said, well, too bad. It's the way it is. In other words, you're out the money that you've invested in this. And I was like, okay, it's part of the conditions of the deal. And I just let it go, like immediately let it go. And my husband was upset about it. And I said, honey, why are you upset about it? And he said, well, it's such a waste. I said, no, it's not. I said, that money went to a gentleman who's using it, I'm sure, for good. And he's probably circulating it in the world. And it's just a different way to look at it. Because I know if I have bad energy around something like that, that's just going to attract more, like energy to reflect that. Right. So we got to really be cautious and pay attention. But at the same time, you have to feel good about it. Like I know, and I would suspect this is the same for Phil. Anytime you've made a decision to do something or invest in something, you went with your intuition. Like, does this feel like the right thing to do? And I'm sure if we brought Candace on, she would tell everyone here, that's why she decided to go, because her intuitive factor, which we all have, was activated and it said, yes, do this. Like Norm just shared with everyone. He uses his intuition. He's highly tuned in to his, his mental faculties, and he uses them. And you got to use them, right? And just like you're doing, like you said, okay, I'm there. And we recognize, like when we saw your question, and we got on a call together. We got on a call to discuss it because first of all, I love your idea. And I know Phil does too. And the fact that you mentioned Jumanji, well, that's one of my grandson's favorite movies, actually.
Oh, I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Like it's such a great, and think about, I mean, there's so many movies that have been like that. Like another one that comes to my mind is that one with Keanu Reeves, where he takes the pill. What's that one? Matrix. Right.
Matrix.
I'm thinking the Matrix, Jumanji. This is like where the Matrix meets Jumanji.
Wow.
Right. And but the difference with this one is people actually can apply it to their own lives. They're not only being entertained, but they're learning something.
Right.
And it's very hard to unlearn the way I've formatted it. You can't unlearn it.
Well, you can't unlearn anything.
It stays in your mind.
Yeah. That's true.
And so it's a book first, Rita, and then you went to them. Okay.
Yeah, it's a book.
And the book's not out yet, right, Rita?
It's not out yet. No. Okay. No, I'm gonna wait.
That's great. Okay, good. Well, we look forward to seeing you in October.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
It was great having you here. Thank you. All right, that was great. Okay, we've got another question coming up, and this one's from Monica, and I checked and Monica's video's off, so I think we'll just address this question. I don't know if we need to bring her into the spotlight, but what is the first thing you do in the morning to keep you on the path to manifest your desires? What's your morning routine? And this is a question for both of us. Okay. So you want to go?
Okay, so the first thing I do is I look at my gold card. I have it with me in bed, believe it or not. Okay, now when I say in bed, it's right out of the side. So that's easy with it. Although, so that's the first thing, so that I'm impressing it in my subconscious before I even get out of bed. First thing I look at, turn on the light, boom. And so it just inspires me, and now I feel so motivated. So that's the first thing. And then gratitude is the second thing for me. So I'll study, but I'll study after I do all of my other things in the morning, swimming, etc. But first thing is the goal card. Second thing is gratitude. The gratitude makes you it gives you just so much positive. Positive is the wrong word. It just puts me in the right vibration of, like, joy.
That's so good.
What
I
about
love
you, Peggy?
Yeah, sometimes I change it up. Like right now, what it is as soon as I wake up, which is usually around 5 a.m., and I will plug in my earbuds, which I keep charged beside the bed, and I begin listening to my guided visualization. So I created this guided visualization on my own app, which is the Power Life Script app that's available on the iPhone. I listen to my guided meditation first, and I usually listen to that for an hour. And then I listen to my Power Life Script for an hour, and then I meditate. And so it's about 2 hours and 20 minutes before I'm actually out of bed. Wow. And doing the next thing. And then I do my gratitude, and then I do my mirror work, and then I do my study. And so it's usually hours in the morning of, of activating the senses so that I can, it's not necessarily a bringing up of the energy, but it's really choosing to have a priority focus.
It gets you in the right vibration, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. On mine, for Monica, I also do the same thing just before I fall asleep. So, as you're like just about to fall asleep, so I'm impressing my goal card on. I do this every day, 7 days a week, without fail, and gratitude. But of course, we talked about this. You're doing gratitude all day long, because I think that gives you it lifts you to the higher vibration, and it just attracts stuff to you, like unbelievable stuff. And it always works, even though I forgot who we were first talking to, but my paradigm's like hers. It will come. Yes, right. And so the paradigm will come, but it immediately goes away, because I can recognize it. Because I'm telling you, man, if it gets into your subconscious, it destroys all the good work that you just did. So
yeah, that's so true. Great point. Thank you, Phil. I really appreciate you adding that as well. We're going to bring the lovely Jane into the spotlight right now. Jane has submitted a question in advance. And so, Jane, welcome. We're going to get to your question. I know, Jane, you were very patient last week when we had our call. I noticed your hand was raised. We didn't get to you last week, but we're happy to have you here now. And you may have met Jane before, Phil. Jane is the mom of Greg, Cameron, and other son's name, please tell me. Right.
Wow.
And they were both working with Bob Proctor for many, many years.
Oh, cool.
Very talented young men. They're both videographers. They have many skills, of course, and they're just wonderful, wonderful human beings that Jane has brought to this earth. But she has written a script, and her script is called Round Town. And it really plays to a youth audience. And so she said, I see the potential for a touring show to schools, a main stage production, a possible audiobook or animation. Wow. How do I align my major goal to complete the children's script with the most appropriate media for distribution? How do I grow a specific next step goal while entertaining multiple options? All right.
Good question.
Really great question.
So is it a kids animated film? Is that what you're intending it to be? Or is it a comedy for young adults?
Okay, it started, it is comedy, and it is it could be performed by teenagers and young adults as the main characters. It is designed to play to children. And when I began the script, I saw it as a touring show, because my background is in theater. And so I started writing it as a show that could tour to schools. But then it began to grow as I was writing it. And I thought, oh, this has amazing main stage possibilities. So it could be a main stage script. And then as I was working on it, I started to envision using a circular cyc at the back of the stage. And I began researching Midjourney images to project Midjourney images onto the script as a stage play. And then it began to evolve. And I thought this could be an amazing animation. And so I see it has a very strong story. It has a strong theme. It has a strong message. It's very much rooted in personal development material because that's the world that I'm in right now. So it was like the vision grew as I was writing it. And because of my theater background, and I know I've said this to Peggy before, that I was trained in this kind of bums in seat mentality, that there was always a budget and there was always a limitation in the size of the theater. So it's like, how do I, I'm just entertaining so many possibilities for the script that I think, you know, where do I, it's now finished. And literally, I have it. I'm sorry, I'm going on a bit, but literally, I'm sending it to a young people's theater that that I greatly respect, but they're requiring that, like, the script, like the paper pages sent out with a cover letter.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that this is almost an archaic way of distribution, to send a script to one theater that has already planned its season for next year, so would not even look at it until the year after.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm making sense, because I sometimes wonder if the idea is just this amazing world we're in right now, if some of the systems of distribution have not caught up with the potential.
Yes, that is a true statement. But at the same time, you still have the archaic ways of movies as well, movies and plays. So let's start from the beginning. What is it that you would love? What do you want?
Exactly. That's what I would ask.
It always comes down to that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
it can morph into something else a little bit later, or, you know, it could evolve.
So where I am is the I see the end goal as I see it as a potential for an animation.
Okay. Good.
However, I see
that's your paradigm talking now. Go ahead.
Yes, but I see if submitting a script to the theater that I really respect.
Yeah.
You know, the artistic director and the dramaturge for the theater, that I may get very valuable feedback.
Yeah. I don't think one precludes you from the other. Have you registered it at this point?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is register it with the Writers Guild, right? So that you know, have it. And then I think that you need to go through the process. And the process is that you would go to that theater, you know, again, with a registered trip. I got to ask you something. I'm going to have we worked together, you and I? Have you done, because I've done a lot of shows up in Canada and you just seem really familiar to me. That's why I'm asking.
No, we haven't.
Okay. And so I would say the first step is register it, send it off to who you really want to send it to, especially if you really respect them. Of course you want their feedback. Now their feedback doesn't mean, Peggy, is that your friend?
Yeah, and Jane made her.
Peggy,
She's
You made her?
Peggy, I'm so embarrassed. That was my first puppet from years ago, and I've developed a whole different line of puppets now. But it was.
Are you a puppeteer?
A beginner. No, I'm a puppet builder. My sister trained with Jim Henson, so it kind of came through.
I was going to say, that's interesting. Have you trademarked those?
No, but where I'm going with that is I have puppets where you actually build on the features. So you start with a very neutral puppet and then add in all the features to create character. And I work with adults with developmental disabilities.
Wow.
And they create the characters in their work that often they can't create with their own voices and bodies.
Wow.
So
that's a cottage industry as well. I mean, that's amazing.
Plans there is to do a sizzle reel and to send the concept to Hasbro.
Yeah.
So you know the steps. So how can we help you? How can we serve you? What do you need? You got everything
I-
right there, right? I mean,
Such a creative, like Jane
you're
has an
basically a
incredible
movie,
imagination.
you're an animated film, you've got a whole cottage industry going on there. You know that people are looking for this whole new, I don't know if you know what's going on with the Jim Henson Company, which is owned by Disney, of course, but there's a huge story going on there, meaning that for you, if that's what you would love, I mean, there's like an opening for that kind of business like right now, because there is nothing else other than Henson has kind of a monopoly on it, and they're really nice people, don't get me wrong, but like there's definitely a lot of room for other people as well. But there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, you've given us about 4 or 5 different businesses right here that you've got that you're working on. I think you just have to decide, what is it that you would love, what is it that you want, and that's it. It's really easy. Just not.
Well, I have more projects, but my
I
passion
can see
is,
that.
no, my passion is with the puppets, is that I really think that that we need that kinesthetic experience again, and that young people need that. And
I agree with you.
adults.
So what is it that you want though? What do you want?
Okay, my passion, as crazy as it is that I am so in love with this material
There you go.
that I want to disseminate it to the world, but not, I'm not a coach, but through plays, through stories. I'm working on a book, which is going to be, it's a novel, and I have the title, and I know that it's going to be just an amazing novel, and it's so
God, if I could, I'd basically reach through the screen and basically pull you over here to Universal. But hey, so look, I mean, you're obviously like somebody who's got a lot of stuff going on. You know how this works. You know how paradigms work. You know why you're having blocks. But I mean, we're here to serve you. So whatever I mean, you sold me when you first started talking about it. When you first started talking about animated film for kids, because obviously that's kind of the sweet spot, right? Especially in Hollywood, which I'm sure you know. It's something that basically every studio, I talk about this in our group, but you know what a 4-quadrant film is, right? So that's where you're reaching everybody. But the sweet spot, of course, is kids, because it's a perennial. So a perennial means that it's like the Henson Group, right? It's like Disney. It'll play forever and ever and ever, because there's always a new generation of kids that are coming up there, and their parents want to, whether it's good or not, I don't judge, but basically it's a great babysitter. So these kinds of programs are like perfect to put your kid down. And if they're learning something, even better. Do you remember Baby Einstein?
mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, speaking of bought by, Disney, that became, this reminds me of that. I mean, and it can go back to Barney. I'm sure you remember Barney when your kids
Yes.
were, okay. You know that my kids like were in Barney for like at least, oh my God. But talk about a cottage industry, again, bought by who else? Yeah, I mean, first it was bought by I want to say ITC, and then somehow one way or another, I think Disney ended up with it. But it might be Universal. But that's like, this is kind of a no-brainer for me when I look at it. I don't know what you're thinking when you're like saying, okay, this is what I want to do, because you got a lot of stuff going on right now. I think you just have to figure out what you would like to do it, and you know how to do it. You know the steps.
Okay, I thank you.
And part of the process could be this, and is getting clarity about what does it feel like now that you've been this big difference maker in the world, Jane. Like, you have so much creativity. I mean, it's coming out of your pores. Like, it's unbelievable. And talent to boot, and connections, and the understanding of these teachings too. Like, I was watching a video of Bob's the other day, and you were in the audience in the front row, and so, it's just a matter of, like, when I think about what your potential is and how incredible you are and the talents that you've been given, it's like, okay, here's a woman or an individual who's on this planet who can make such a big difference. So what do you need to do? You need to get clarity about, what does that difference look like? What is the impression that you're making on this planet, like a legacy almost. And okay, so even though you might not know exactly what that smells like, tastes like, feels like just right now, what you can get clarity around is, what does it feel like? And that's the most important part of it all, is what does it feel like? Because out of that feeling state, the ideas will be born, right? Like one of the things that we're all observing here. I mean, there's 88 people on the call right now, and I'm sure you're already observing this. And this is something that happens at Hollywood Manifest. So, get your seatbelt ready there, Norman and 80 and Candace, because this kind of thing goes on. Is that, we will find ideas in your idea. Ideas for expanding your idea, or another idea that you might not even thought of. I mean, Mark Wallace is on this call again. Mark is someone that we've, grown to love and appreciate, and we're serving him. He was at the last Hollywood Manifest event, and he came with a number of different ideas. And then he's been having more and more and more ideas that have coming out of that. And the same thing with Reem, who was at the event. She came there with a specific idea. But the idea that she's now working on is not the original idea that she came there to expand on. And so not that she did let go of the other one, it's just that she's got another idea that both Phil and I were like, whoa, wait a minute, what did you just say? And then we find another potential. And I think
that totally blew me away. I mean, it was just, it's amazing. Hi, Reem. I know you on.
Too. Like I'm seeing Jane, and I'm thinking about the work that she's done with the puppets, etc., with, challenged children. And all of a sudden I started, that movie, If, that's out with that lovely Canadian Ryan Reynolds. And I took my grandson to see it a week or so ago. And I mean, it's about the if, which are invisible friends, right? Invisible friends. That's what IF stands for. And so what did they do? They just brought the invisible friends to life. And so when Jane was talking, and thinking about these puppets that, she's created, and of course she was saying, this is one of the first of the original ones. And I was thinking about the work that the puppets are doing with developing, children with special needs or whatever. And then I was seeing these puppets, they build them and then they come to life.
Yeah.
Like that was a thought that I had. And anyways, there's no end to where this can go. But what all of us must do is we got to get in harmony with what is that like for us in our life? And we'll be talking about more of this in Hollywood Manifest as well, is what is the impact that you're making? Hollywood has been designed to entertain, right? Entertain, educate, inspire. I mean, there's a variety of different things that Hollywood will do. There's always, 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 always going to be a need for more ideas, more materials in Hollywood, just like Phil's talking about with Jim Henson. I mean, he's gone from this earthly plane, right? Barney, we don't see Barney anymore. And I was thinking about Cabbage Patch Dolls. If anyone remembers the Cabbage Patch Dolls when they were around, right? They just took off like gangbusters. My mother had a Cabbage Patch doll.
Well, if I can say, I joke about, my work is sort of a combination of a Cabbage Patch doll and Mr. Potato Head. That's
perfect.
Kind of thing. But also there's the element, I have built them in a size, they're larger than the one you have. They're toddler size. So it means that the clothing can come from secondhand stores. So it's a way of recycling baby, children's designer clothing for the puppets.
Oh my God.
And the puppets can be male, female, or they can be they, like the child can build whatever character that the person
I love that you
wants.
did that. Yeah.
Hey Jane, where are you based out of?
I'm in Caledon. I actually
Where's that?
I live
North
not
of
far
Toronto.
from Gina Hayden. We're in the same
Oh,
town.
okay. So you're in Toronto.
Northwest. It's a beautiful area, Caledon. Gorgeous.
So I'm just northwest of Toronto.
Are you planning on coming to this event?
I hadn't planned on it.
Oh, okay.
You should think about it, Jane. You're a perfect fit, like perfect fit.
Bring the doll.
And also, if I could say, I'm at a place in my life of I love creativity, and I see such a necessity for it in this world. But I'm also at a place of how can I serve?
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
you can serve using
my
your
driver.
talent. Yeah. I can totally see that. I totally see you but the thing is, it's like Wayne Dyer used to say this: do not die with your music in you. Right. And this is for everyone's benefit. I really like, we are hearing ideas here. We didn't hear Norm's idea, but Phil said, I am certain it's a Academy Award. There's so many ideas here. 80, who, I met in March, and I was like, oh my God, 80, this is such a great story. And I called Phil right away when I heard her story. Like, we all have something within us that we can bring to the world. Vladdy's just about to launch her second fairy tale book that she's releasing to the world. It's 4. She's doing 4 in total. Like, it's all like, you can't let it, sit dormant. You got to bring it out to the world. Right? You got to, just take charge of your life. And like Rita's doing with her brilliant idea of her, novel, which is a game that's teaching these manifestation techniques that comes to life, etc. And I love that. That's so good.
Me too.
It's so
Wow.
all right, Jane, thank you so much. We really
Okay.
appreciate
Yeah,
you.
nice meeting you.
And I thank you very much as well. Thank you for the time.
Yeah.
Great. That was so great. All right. That was so much fun. Let's go to the next one. Roddy's been really supportive of letting me know. We're going to go to Tootie's question. Actually, Tootie also had her hand raised while we're at the last event. And so we're going to go to her question.
Tootie?
Yeah.
From Back to Life? No, I'm kidding.
I call her Aunt Tootie because I had an Aunt Tootie when I was a little girl. She wasn't a real relative. She was a friend of my parents, but we used to call her Aunt Tootie. Okay, so here's Tootie's questions. Now, I know Tootie really well because I was blessed to serve Tootie all of last year in private mentoring, and she is in the All Access Pass program with Dynamic Destinies right now. So I happen to, Phil, just, for your benefit, I know her and what she does and her talent very well. She's got a brilliant idea, very creative idea, where she's been writing almost like short stories, which she's making into a book. So she has two questions. One is, if we have a short story that we realize could be a movie, should we put it into a dialogue format, screenplay format, or leave that up to the producer? That's her first question.
It depends what you want. If you want it to be a movie, then sure, you would adapt it into a screenplay. Short stories are adapted all the time. But the way that they're adapted is by either the original author, or you would hire a writer and the writer would expand upon the idea. I'm trying to think of a really famous short story that became a movie, but it's not popping into the head. We're about to do one. I want to say that we're going to shoot it in Antarctica, and it's going to go sometime in the late fall. But that was a short story that was developed into a screenplay that's now getting made. So the answer to the story is, it's whatever you want. If you're looking for a producer to take it, you would just go out and market the short story. And when I say market it, you would go out to a producer who you think it might be right for it and submit it, see if they take unsolicited stories. If not, they usually like it either to be an entertainment attorney who submits it, or a franchised agent. But there's all kinds of different ways to do it.
Hey, by the way, Phil, Tom is on the call today. Again, Tom Churchill is here with us.
Who? I never heard of him. Hi, Tom. I didn't know he was
a screenplay writer, a very good one.
So early for you. No, he called me actually this morning at 6, but I didn't know he was coming on.
Yeah, he's here again. He sent me a little message to tell me that he was here, which is wonderful. So,
Second question. Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, let's go to the second question. That's a good idea, because I'm just looking at the time. We have 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Okay, second question. What is the correct title to put on our Oscar for our Oscar winning movie that was made from our book? I want to put the right title on my Oscar to manifest.
Okay. Really great question.
It is.
If it's the best movie, it's going to be the best movie. So Parasite's a perfect example. Parasite was the one that won the Academy Award 2 years ago, and it pretty much swept the Academy Awards. There you go. So what's yours? Best motion picture. So if it's going to win best picture, then it's best motion picture. If it's going to be screenplay or adapted screenplay, it's going to be best adapted screenplay or best screenplay. It depends what you're going for. So if you're going for, so typically with a source of a short story, it would be an adaptation. So it'd be best adaptation for screenplay, or best screenplay if you're the writer, or best motion picture.
Okay.
Peggy, it's going to be, the question is up. That one, that question is actually for The Circle, like Sunny and the kids, that book. So it's the movie for Sunny and the kids. So would that be the adapted?
It's the same thing. It doesn't
Yes,
matter.
same
I mean, as long as it's an underlying story that you wrote, then basically it's probably an adaptation.
Okay, perfect. Thanks,
You
Toots.
really need to get some more energy there, Tootie, because you're like,
You noticed. She
a
is
little
just a
bit.
bundle of energy.
They're gonna hop out of the chair there for a second.
Yeah, she's the Energizer Bunny. That's one of the things that we love about Tootie. If Tootie walks in the room, it's gonna light up, for
That's
sure.
really funny.
She's great. All
Thank
right,
you both for doing this, by the way. I
Yeah, you
really
got it,
am
man.
very grateful. Thank you
Sure.
so much.
you're so
Yeah.
sweet. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. Okay, we are 1 minute from the top of the hour. What I wanted to suggest for everyone is, yes, we've been talking about Hollywood Manifest. We do want to talk a little bit more about what it is and what we will be doing with you. If this is something that you decide to do. But I also want to keep in mind this, like if you've looked at it and you're thinking that if you look at the price, right? I mean, one of the great lessons that Bob taught me, Phil, is do not look at price tags. Do not look at price tags. All you have to ask yourself is this question: do I want it? Do I want it? Because if you want it, you're going to find a way. You're absolutely going to find a way. And so what we're going to be doing is you can go to hollywoodmanifest.com and you can see what the event is. But Roddy also set up a page to make it really simple for everyone. And the page is peggyandphil.com. That's correct, right, Roddy? Can you just put it in the chat box on the right-hand side? So basically what it is how we can work with you in either a private mentoring capacity. I shouldn't say either because Norman's done both. Mark has done both. Adie has done both. And so, many people do elect to do both of those things. So it's Hollywood Manifest, the private mentoring, as well as book a call with Vladdy. I mean, she's happy to meet with you and to discuss what would be a good fit for you. Vladdy's very familiar with all the programs in depth. And also use your intuition and remember to get out of your own way. Do not allow your current set of paradigms to make the decision for you. You have to ask yourself, is this something that I love? And intuitively, do I feel drawn, to be a part of this? And, we also want to make sure that the people that come to these events, like we have conversations all the time about the prospects. I know Vladdy was saying to me this morning that she has 13 people that are ready to go to this event, but it is a first come, first serve. We'll fill it. There's no doubt about that. Fill it, fill. Anyways, we'll, and so when the spots are gone, they're gone. I mean, that's just the way it is. We keep it intimate because of the amount of work that we're going to be doing with each person, as you'll see. I mean, we're going to be diving into each individual project. We don't promise you anything. And the reason why we promise we're going to give you the best of what we've got for sure. But we can't promise you results because that's going to ultimately be up to you. We'll give you the best of what we know and the advice. And what I do know is this, is that, when you're ready, the solution is there. And so how do you know if you're ready? It's when you've decided that you're going to do something you've never done before, or decided that you're committed to a particular project. I know Norm has had his project in mind for a while now, and he hasn't let go of that. And he's holding on tight because to him, that dream is already done. He has his director's chair right beside him. Yeah, he's
it's really interesting, Peggy. I just want to say one thing. It's like it's all coming back to me. It wasn't necessarily a really pleasant memory, but I remember when I talked to Bob and I said, so when I first met him, because he was expensive, he was not cheap, and I said, well, what guarantees do I have? I mean, I'm really lucky that he didn't just kick me out. I mean, he was like you. I mean, he basically talked it through and basically showed. I didn't even know what a paradigm was at that point, but he was like talking to me about it. I'm thinking like, God, what if I had not done that? But I don't even want to go there because that's like, now that's a paradigm, right? But I just think about, God, thank God that I did that. I'm not saying people should just do it, but at the same time, I'm just trying to think and give, especially you, Rita, I'm trying to give you some comfort here, is that I'm really glad that I did it because, I mean, I couldn't even imagine my life without that. I mean, it's just, don't even want to go there. But wow, it really is. The paradigm is so friggin' strong. That's the thing. And it still is, but you just know how to come over it and just say, okay, this is what I want. And it has worked out 100% of the time, just like Bob always said. Works 100% of the time. He never had a doubt ever, at least where we were concerned.
Well, he probably did, but he just knew how to deal with them, right? Like he
Yeah,
just,
he dealt with it right away. He like switched
yeah,
it in a second. I mean, literally, we saw him doing it. I saw him doing it in a second. Switch
yeah,
it.
exactly. What I'd like to do now is actually we have Alan McIntosh on the call, and I know we've gone beyond the hour. Is that okay, Phil? Can you stay for a couple?
Yeah, I got a little more time, but then I need to.
Okay. All right. So I know, is Alan with Connie? I'm just looking down the right-hand side. I'm guessing he's with Connie. So I'm gonna bring on Connie. There he is. Yes, he is. Okay, good. So, it's Connie, it's kind of like what we did last time. We saved the best to the last. Is that what we're doing here? I guess we brought you on at the end as well on our last call. And, I happened to glance up at the clock and I saw what time it was. And Roddy sent me a lovely prompt saying Alan's question. And so
Yeah.
thank you, Roddy. I really appreciate you. And of course, we love you, Connie and Alan, and we love serving you. And Alan had a really great question submitted. And by the way, Alan has just finished his book as well, which is really exciting. Okay, here we go. I know we're supposed to think and focus on what Bob would call a C-type goal, and I have trouble believing I can ever have that sometimes. I have the thought, who do you think you are? Do you have any suggestions on how to see past this? Isn't that a great question? I'm going to let
Hell
Phil.
yeah. I mean, yeah. See past it. There you go. Switch it.
Yeah, he answered your question with your
paradigm, right?
question.
It really is. It's just a paradigm. I mean, basically, it's your paradigm just saying, who am I? That's a self-worth thing. And so we all have that. I have the same thing. I mean, it's like if you didn't know me, you just heard this, you would think I'm like one of the most screwed up guys in the world. But I'm not, I swear to God. But I did have like, a lot of shit happen to me when I was growing up. And so just like everybody. And so I'm no different. But yeah, I had the same thing. It's like that's one of the reasons that it took so long to get the Academy Award versus the Tony, because I had to get the Academy Award to see that, yeah, I am worth it. That's why it took me so long to work with Steven, because who am I to work with Steven? And so it's just a self-worth thing. But when and when you're in the study, and you guys are clearly in the study, obviously, so how to. Right. So you know how to fix that. I mean, basically, it's just your paradigm. That's all. Just a paradigm. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not true unless you believe it's true. But what do you believe, Alan? What do you think? What do you believe? What do you want?
Yeah, what do I want? My ultimate goal, like I set my ultimate goal at having a net worth of 5 million, which some people would consider small, but that's neither here nor there. But sometimes I think that's not obtainable. Maybe I should be focusing on 500,000 right now, and then I would be more realistic. That's all. That's what I'm saying.
That's a paradigm, like you just said. It's all relative, right? I mean, $5 million. Again, I don't want to say that that's nothing, but it's like I know people who just. In fact, right before this call, I was on with somebody who is writing a check for considerably more out of his personal bank account because it's so little to him. So it's whatever you think it is. But if you think that it's like. I mean, you said it's just, I mean, it's just not unreasonable. It's just not gonna, that's what you're telling your subconscious. So what do you really want to tell your subconscious?
What I really tell it is that anything's possible. And most of the time I can do that, but then every once in a while I'm thinking.
Okay, but now that's your paradigm talking. So I would say this. Are you coming as well with Connie, or is it Connie who's coming? It's Connie coming, right?
No,
it's a different Connie who's coming. Okay, so this is what I would do. I would say get your little like rubber band thing, because every time that thought
And they
comes
have
up,
those.
you need to. There you go. So snap that right now and like make it hurt. I'm being serious, because this is really important that you get this. I mean, this is just a untrue paradigm. I know for a fact that having $5 million net worth, you could get it tomorrow. I mean, so that's a fact. Now, if you don't believe it, you're never going to get it. But if you believe it, believe me, it can happen, because I see it almost on a daily basis, and way more than that. So it's just, it's never been, it was before I met Bob, but 175 was like my goal. 250, fantastic. 250,000, by the way. I'm not talking million. And so now it's like way more than that, because I know it's achievable. You know how Bob says when he first comes on, how would you like your monthly income to become your annual income to become your monthly income? I thought that was absolute bullshit when I first heard that. And then having seen it and through the years and like practicing it and studying it and watching it, it's small. like having your monthly income become your annual. How about your annual income becoming your, like, your daily income? I mean, that's how people think, but they really believe that that's their self-worth. You need to do the same thing. It's really
Okay.
simple. I can see it. I can see you got $5 million written all over your face. So just
Okay, thank you.
I have a suggestion for an exercise to put it into practice. And yes, you've got your elastic bands. I love that you're wearing them and you can snap them, etc. With any negativity. I'm impressed that Phil even remembered the bands from the event.
yeah.
That was so impressive. So here's what I suggest, and this is for Alan and anyone else that's listening. How about if you play a game for 24 hours? And the game that you're going to play is that your net worth is 500 million, not 5 million, 500 million. I want you to really go big with this. Now, it's neither big nor small, only thinking makes it so. I didn't say 5 billion or 500 billion. I said, 500 million. And so 500 million as your personal net worth, just for 24 hours. Just imagine that is your net worth. Your net worth, Alan McIntosh's net worth is $500 million. Play with that idea for the next 24 hours. And then I'd like you to email us and let us know what happened as a result of you thinking from the place of your net worth being $500 million. What that's doing is it's expanding on an idea. A number of years ago, I arrived in Kona, Hawaii. I was going to speak at Bob's 1% Club event. And when I landed, Bob sent me a text and he said, I need to meet with you right away. And he said, come to my suite. And so I, checked in the hotel and immediately went to the suite where Bob was checked in. And he said, I got this idea on the plane. And he said, I acted on it and I registered the domain name. I'm sure you'll like that, Peggy, because I'm a domain nameaholic. And he registered the domain name ideaexpansion.com. Now I own it now because he let it go, but I bought it back and I now have that domain name. And I love Idea Expansion because he had me and Brian Proctor run that division. It was his idea, but he said, you run it because I know how good you are at taking ideas and expanding on the ideas. I think Phil's gifted with this as well. And so we ran this program called Idea Expansion. And what we did was we invited people to think differently. And we invited people to think bigger, like more expansively. So this is really what I'm suggesting for you to do, Alan, is think about 500 million, because you know what? 5 million will seem like nothing by the time you're finished playing with this idea.
So right.
It's going to get you thinking differently. Tootie likes it too, I see.
You look like you're confused, Alan. What's
$500 million is a lot.
But my goal is a net worth of 100 million.
Yeah, and they're married.
But do you see the difference here between when Connie says that I totally believe her. I don't see any problem with her having $100 million. When you say it, Alan, I see a big issue. And the big issue is just your paradigm. That's all it is. It's just a paradigm. It's not a true paradigm. It's just your paradigm. So the true paradigm is that you're worth far more, like Peggy says, than $500 million. Way. But you just have to decide what it is. And then you get it.
And I think about your goals because I'm, very blessed to know you, and you're going to need more than 5 million net worth for that.
Yes.
So Connie's is more.
That might get Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the trip there, but Connie, and just so you know, Phil, Connie and Ellen have they've set goals to own homes all over the world. One of them being in the Crystal Beach area of Ottawa, another one being in London, and she's very specific on that. It's a multi-level place in London, overlooking wherever it's overlooking, in Paris and Hawaii. And so this is it's their vision for their life, and 5 million net worth won't do that.
No.
Absolutely not. But see how Peggy, I mean, if you guys know Peggy really, really well, Peggy, when she decides she wants a place, she doesn't just say, someday when I get this money, I'm going to get that place, because that day will never come. Peggy makes a decision and I've seen her do this, why I know for a fact she does this. She decides what she wants. Like, she tells me she wants a lake house. She can have a lake house she literally can manifest it, because I saw her manifest the sale of her house and buying a new house literally while we were doing another seminar about a year ago, maybe it's 2 years ago. And she didn't even know that she wanted it when she started off in the morning. And by the next morning, it had already been done, manifested, and she had it. And I think you're in it now, right, Peggy? This is a new house.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago, but closed. Yeah.
But I don't believe it with you guys. I think that it would be great to have a house in Hawaii and a house there. You haven't made the decision yet.
Connie
So,
has. Connie's made the decision.
okay.
Yeah. And Alan, it's again, it's not nothing against you whatsoever. I mean, it's like Phil said, we all have the paradigms,
Yeah,
but
no.
you know, what's great about this is to have the awareness, right? It's kind of like what we're talking about with Rita as well. Having awareness is very valuable. We can
Yeah.
look at the scenarios that we're involved in it and look at, you know, Bob used to have this on a slide too. You probably remember it, Phil, where you are, where you want to go, right? You
Yes.
need to know where
Right.
you are, where you want to go. Am I willing? Am I able? Remember that particular slide? So where you are is the point where you are at this time in your life. There's no judgment in that. It just is, right? It just is. So where you are is where you are. Where you want to go is another place. Well, what do we know about getting to that other place? We got to get on the frequency, right? We got to get on the frequency. And that's why, you know, playing with these ideas and expanding on these ideas and living from these ideas, like genuinely living from these ideas. So it's like anytime you start to think, oh, I'd really like to book that flight to Hawaii. Okay, well, book the flight to Hawaii or go online, like show the universe you're serious, just like, you know, Norman has done. Norman has said, I'm telling you, universe, I'm serious about my dream. And he keeps doing things that demonstrate I'm serious about my dream. And the universe is saying yes. It's yes. It's just a yes answering machine to saying yes to your dream, whatever that is. So like whatever it is that you want, yes is the answer that you get. But our responsibility, and this is why these things are not necessarily manifesting in our lives or haven't manifested yet in our lives, is because we're not in harmony with it. We're not living as if that is who we are. This is already done. So important with the process of manifesting.
It really is.
Okay.
Yay.
All
Okay. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you both. Thank you so much. Great questions asked today. Thank you, Phil, for staying on extra. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
you. And appreciate everyone for being here, for submitting questions, for being a part of this. Incredibly valuable. And we look forward to seeing, let's see, we have 80, Norman, Rita, Candace, all coming to Hollywood Manifest in October. Looking forward to seeing you and anyone else that's made the decision that you're going to be there. That's what you have to decide. Do I want it? And if you want it, you will find a way. That's the way it works. All right, everyone. We'll see you again. Thank you, Roddy. Thank you, Black. Thank you, Kayla. Really appreciate you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.